Alright, hey guys, before I really get into anything, I just wanted to do a quick little introduction about who I am. I am Pterosaur, a high plat League of Legends player. Mostly play support, jungle, top, and I've been watching League of Legends ever since 2010 WCG when COG took the finals over the soon-to-be SK Gaming when they had the original lineup of like Hotshot, Chelster, Elements, GG, and Kobe. How could I forget Kobe? Anyways, I just want to share my opinion, I guess, on the recent roster changes of the North American LCS split, the drama split, as many people are taken to calling it. So anyways, let's start with the first place team. So Cloud9 really hasn't made any roster changes at all so far as of this date, and Cloud9 will be keeping their mid lane, unlike what this site says, because I'm doing this before All-Stars. So Riot has updated the rosters for All-Stars, and the mid lane right now is Link instead of High, and there's this whole huge acquisition for Link and stuff like that. It's no big deal, but High's on the team. Anyways, Cloud9 is the rotation team in NA, and they have really good macro strategy. And the thing is, because they were the top of North America, they didn't have to change their playstyle at all or pick up anybody. Like Balls is the top. He is the top player for NA in the top lane. Midos is the top North American jungler. High is a top tier North American mid laner. Although his mid lane mechanics might not be the best, he will constantly, either if he's better than you, High will 1v1 you mid lane and dive you repeatedly and keep getting kills, and if he's not, High will just shove the wave and roam top or bottom lane. Like High is one of the lowest like CS scores because he just shoves the lane, then he roams top for a 3-man dive, or he goes bottom to help support Sneaky and Lemon. And Sneaky and Lemon are one of the best bottom lanes at just either going even, or if they have a lead, a small lead, they'll go and snowball it for their team. So they'll shove up, rotate, take dragon, rotate, go mid and stuff like that, and get a bunch of objectives for their team. And Lemon Nation is probably irreplaceable on this lineup, as he's one of the people who thinks about League of Legends on this lineup. Him and High do a lot of the macro strategy outside of the game, like picks and bans and stuff like that, and Lemon Nation is probably one of the best people towards figuring out like what's good in the metas. Cloud9 is probably one of the fastest adapters, and I see them being probably first place next split, unless any of these roster changes are actually that dramatic for the other teams. So the next team we have over here is COG, and they haven't replaced anyone. Actually, they replaced Niantanso, who took a step down, and now COG is looking for a new top laner, and I mean among them was like 0-0, people like Oroamne or the second odd one, but they didn't go with any of those, and they went with Seraph, a Korean who was a sub for Najin, but he wasn't going to see any playtime because it got saved, who's arguably the best top lane in Korea as of now, because White Shield just beat Blaze in the best of 5, although it was a close best of 5. So yeah, Nian stepped down, and now you have Seraph in the top lane, and if Seraph is a good fit, I see COG being second. If Seraph isn't a good fit, I see them being a third place team again, and that's just how it's gonna go. COG could place first, depending on if High actually, like, the way the split goes, if High doesn't make it into the first few weeks of LCS split, just because of his lung problems. That's the only way I could see COG like placing first. So now we have Curse, who they've kept their lineup but replaced Bunny Fufu with X Special, and we're gonna get more into why this is like really important. But the X Special replacement for Bunny Fufu, there really isn't much to talk about. Like, Voivoi has been underperforming, even though I love the guy and his playstyle. He just isn't that great of a mid player, and I don't know, I guess he chokes or something like that, but his mid lane hasn't been spectacular. Dominate's a fine jungler for North America, and his Lee Sin play could use a little work. Like, currently on that patch, and just in the jungle meta, if you can't play Lee Sin and hit your Qs accurately, you might as well, like, I don't know, you just limit yourself so much compared to the other foreign junglers who can play Lee Sin as well as all the other junglers. Quas is a solid top lane. I don't know, most of the time he just gets picked on because the rest of his team isn't really doing much. And Cop is probably... his playstyle is just like Chaox's when Chaox used to be on TSM. Cop is not gonna lose lane that hard, and he's not gonna win lane like ever. He's probably just gonna force lane and go even, where he's gonna freeze by his turret, or he's just gonna last hit and then shove when the enemy bottom lane goes missing. But him with the special, now Cop has had a wide variety of supports, so I feel like Cop and special will be a good bottom lane together, but I don't think it's enough to carry Curse, and I see Curse being as a 5th place team or a 4th place team, depending on how TSM goes. EG, now this is where the whole European imports come from. 3 of their 5 teammates are European, and Pobelter was probably the rising star of like the young LCS or the young challenger scene, who's the only one who made it to the LCS. And I don't know, this team just has so much quote unquote potential, but it also has a few players who are kind of reaching past their primes, the old guard as people like to call them. You have Snoopy, Yellow Pete, who don't really make impacts in games, and you have Crepo, who's forced to cater his playstyle towards Yellow Pete's. And Crepo has been known to make like amazing plays and probably can do it consistently. It's just that there's sometimes where some of the plays that Crepo makes are questionable, but I think Crepo is actually one of the only 3 of the EG players who has kept up in his like role as like Crepo. He's a top NA support. He's probably 4th, considering he does come from Europe. Pobelter, there was a reason Pobelter was called Throwbelter when he was in his younger days, even though he's still pretty young right now. Like Pobelter, he's just, I don't know what it is about him, but like he had so much potential where he was top of the challenger scene with a Smurf and his main account, and I don't know. I guess whenever he gets leads, he actually is throwing it. Inux is a fine top laner. He goes even, and he has carry top laners, but he doesn't really get a chance to play him in this meta. Team Coast, the relegated Team Coast. I will talk about Team Coast as if they were Team Complexity. So Complexity has Broken Shard, Westrace, probably Robert X Lee, and they have Bubba Dub as support. So I don't know. I love the guys, but Westrace he's falling off. Probably isn't. I mean, probably has solo killed Bridgerton or whatever in solo queue, but I don't know. And I just don't think Complexity will make it far. They're probably gonna be vying for not to get relegated next season with EG. That's what it's gonna be. EG probably 7th or 8th, and Complexity probably 7th or 8th. Dignitas. So Dignitas has, this is actually updated because they actually did acquire the spots and the players. So you have Zion Spartan, Crumbs, Shifter, I'm a Cutie Pie, and Kiwi Kid. The Kiwi Kid and Cutie Pie bot lane was the 3rd best bot lane in NA until like X Special and Turtle broke up. So now they're probably actually I think they're still the 3rd best bot lane, because now you have Moore and Vasily in the LCS right now. So the bot lane is fine for Dignitas, and that was never really a problem. I guess if you could say it was a problem in that Cutie Pie had to shot call from the AD role, which is very rare. Usually your shot callers in top tier teams are your mid lane and your jungle or your support, which are roles that like you don't have to necessarily focus on your lane the whole time, whereas in AD you're CSing, you have to focus on trades and stuff like that. And the problem with Coast was that Coast didn't have a solid shot caller either. Coast had Zion Spartan shot calling, who was the top lane for that team, and unless you're Flame from Blaze, you shouldn't be shot calling. Like, if your mechanical play is at Flame's level where you can CS and have 100 CS lead and beat your lane with like some jungler help and micro the jungler around, then yeah, you can be a top lane shot caller. But if you can't do those things, like, something has to change. And I think Dignitas, their problems aren't fixed by getting a better mid laner and shifter. Because of the way like their roster is set up right now, I'd actually match Dignitas at an equal like skill footing with the old TSM. Zenith Spartan can go even against Darius. Like, even though Zenith Spartan's known for either going feast or famine, where he goes crazy and gets like 20 kills, or he goes he just feeds, Darius prefers to go even in lane. Like, if Darius has an advantage, he's not gonna push it because he knows he has Wild Turtle and Bjergsen to take up the carry role. Darius is going to go even, so it's not going to be hard for Zenith Spartan to go even in the mid lane or in the top lane. The jungle role, Crumbs would have out-jungled Oddwin, but with Amazing, I think Amazing is slightly better than Crumbs. And Amazing will put out more pressure than Crumbs, but with practice, I think if Crumbs practices his Lee Sin, we could see Crumbs out jungling Amazing, because that Lee Sin pick is going to be very, very important for the TSM Dignitas matchup. If like Dignitas can pick the Lee Sin away from TSM, it would be very, very like helpful, because Amazing is actually pretty good at Lee Sin for an EU player and would be a great addition to NA. And next you have Shifter, who people were claiming that he was stuck in elo hell of mid lanes, and this guy's like top challenger with his main and with his Smurf Chapanya. Like, Shifter's just a really good player, and I think he's at the Bjergsen level of mids. So skill wise, these guys match up pretty close to TSM currently in its current stages and its past form. And it's going to come to shot calling and rotations. Who has the better shot calling, who has the better rotations. And right now Dignitas doesn't have any of that, but with Scar as coach and him looking to get the full kind of support that a league team needs, or that even any competitive esport team needs, and the full kind of like infrastructure is really, really good. And hopefully they do get some good coaching, and that they foster the shot calling ability in Crumbs, so that he makes nice, concise, dedicated calls, and they fix the comms at Dignitas. Dignitas could be a real like top team. This split though, the next split, the spring split or the summer split, I don't see Dignitas breaking top 4. They could be 4th, depends how the games go. So now we have Team Solo Mid, and this team arguably got a lot worse with the roster changes. Well, not a lot worse, considering they did get Amazing over the odd one. And Amazing, he's just mechanically a great jungler, but he's not a shot caller. So they dropped someone who was willing to just listen and take calls from Bjergsen to come camp his lane. And this probably has to do with the way when Reggie was once on the team, the way he structured it was he wanted people who are just going to listen to his calls and his calls alone. But what he didn't do was set up a system for what happens if Reggie's not on the team anymore. So there's no one who has a strong voice to really make those calls, unless their new pickup Glebe Glarblu actually is a playmaker and can make calls, because TSM's main engages always came from X Special every single time. Oddwin was a good player in camping lanes and knowing where the jungles were, but Oddwin wasn't a vocal player at that. He would just take orders from Dyrus and from Bjergsen to go into their lanes and to counter gank and all that stuff. But TSM, I think they're going to be struggling for 3rd place next season. It's not even going to be like, I don't know. With the inclusion of LMQ, the skill gap between the top 4 and the bottom 4, and with all these roster changes, just got like, I don't know, it's crazy. The skill cap just increased, and then the gap between the top 4 and the bottom 4 just closed. Now there's going to be, you have really, really competitive like 5th and 6th place spots. And so next we have XDG, who I'm going to be talking about as of LMQ. So it's pretty much LMQ over here. So LMQ has Ackerman, Moore, Vasily, Zhao, and who am I forgetting? I'm forgetting their jungle, I think. Oh yeah, the top lane. Godlike and Ackerman. Same guy. Well, I'm forgetting the jungle. Either way, LMQ is a really, really good team, and they are looking like a third place team. There's nothing much I could say about them other than that Zhao is a monster, and Vasily is a monster when he's playing well. Otherwise, when he goes on tilt, he is not that great of a player, and he ranks among probably the top of any ADs, like when he's on his game. But when he's not, oh man, probably Zuna level. I actually wouldn't say that, but he's not that great. Anyways, their top lane is also very good. He's a world finalist. It's not like you can be bad as a world finalist. Although when he's not on like Shyvana and Renekton, he doesn't seem to perform as well. But for teams to ban out Shyvana and Renekton and leave like Zhao's mids open, or to leave some 80 carries up for Vasily is going to be pretty dumb. And Moore's an excellent Thresh player, and NA player. So teams are going to have to be very careful playing against LMQ. So yeah, that's just a little quick rundown that I wanted to do. And I kind of want to place the teams in order from 1st through 8th, what my predictions would be for the split. So first place, you're going to have Cloud9, just because of all the reasons I said before, because they're the strongest team in North America. I mean, last split they went 24-4, and the split before that they went 25-3. Like, they're just a really good team, and it's a shame that they can't perform outside of North America, and every time they go internationally they get 2-0, or they only play like a best of 1 or something like that. But I think these guys actually have the most potential to perform internationally, and they just need a little bit more time. And you have COG in 2nd place with their new acquisition of, or hopefully it is Seraph. Seraph is a really good player. I think depending on how Seraph works out, they could be 2nd place or 3rd place. 3rd place, I actually would say, is TSM. TSM has had iffy games in the past season against COG, and now with their bot lane as like the shining, like this is the lane that carried, like CLG against TSM, it all came down to the bot lane despite like what everything else was. And I mean, they would focus Nian and Darius, like Nian and Darius would get so focused in those games because both those guys for their teams just wanted to go even. So you would see Dexter and Link try to camp Darius, and you would see Bjergsen and Oddone diving Nian Tansu and going 3v1 and ham on him and stuff like that. But I feel like CLG is going to be 2nd with TSM 3rd because of their switch with the special. You have LMQ 4th, who's probably going to be fighting with TSM for that 3rd place spot. And 5th and 6th, it's going to be a toss-up between Curse and Dignitas. I think Dignitas still has a little bit of the edge, and will be the 5th place with Curse 6th. And EG is going to be 7th just from sheer experience, with Complexcity 8th, and it's going to be another season for EG to try and qualify. And for Complexcity, I don't know, the Challenger Series competition's looking stiff, and this might be Complexity's 2nd split where they just come in and come out. Anyways, thanks for watching.